beaming across the eastern townships from the heart of Brome-Missisquoi. This is 99.1 CIDI.
Welcome to The Alternatives. You have choices. I'm your host, Ilya Kavukis, and this show is brought to you by the Sunshine Center in Sutton. We're a holistic center offering a lot of modalities, a lot of therapies to help people on their healing path, on their healing journey. Today with me, I have a wonderful guest, an icon from Sutton. She's just a wonderful person who's influenced my life since I've been living here in Sutton, and I'm sure many, many, many others as well. May I please introduce Joan Mathews.
Thank you, Ilya.
So happy to have you here, Joan.
Thanks.
Joan has a yoga center in Sutton where she gives yoga classes. And it's attached to her home, a beautiful building just next to her home, with fabulous views into her garden with lots of beautiful statues. And it's a place of worship, actually. And I feel we come there to worship ourselves, if anything. And what's amazing about this woman, Joan, is that she is... And her beautiful age of, would you like to tell our audience, Joan?
I was born in 1932, so I will be 80 in March.
Wow, wonderful. I was just listening to an interview today, and they were talking about centenarians. Centenarians are people that live over 100 years.
Oh, well, I don't know that I'm looking forward to that.
No, I was just going to say, I totally see you doing that. I totally see you doing that. Joan, please tell us what is that inspires you right now in your life?
Well, right now, it's actually the extraordinary and the miraculous of what I call the mystery in my animals, in my garden, in my counseling work. I work with... counseling different people on different issues, and it's just amazing and, well, I call it miraculous to see how deep people can go, how they can change, and how suffering can lead to a much lighter and more aware attitude in life.
So the never-ending exploration and process of the human being.
That's right.
Yeah. I remember in my 20s thinking, I'd figured it all out.
Oh, don't I know that one?
So now I'm in my early 40s, and, I think I'm wise enough to know now that I haven't figured it all out.
I know.
And it's just beginning. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And there's a beautiful saying, I'm sure it's been said before, but Richard Rohr, who's a Franciscan monk, he says that we think we know, but then we become the holy fool if we keep working on ourselves, etc. And then we're wise enough to know that we do not know.
Yeah. And I think that's when we really get to know what a sense of humor is.
Oh, my God, yes. It's all very funny.
And that's what I love about you, Joan, is every time I meet you or see you, you've always got a giggle ready to go. Always got a laugh ready to go. And no matter what anybody says or what you say, you just giggles. Get over yourself.
Yeah, that's it. As my eldest son keeps saying, just get on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this too shall pass is another good one.
Absolutely.
Joan, I've asked you to come here today. There's so many things that we can talk about. You're a yoga teacher, as you said. You're a counselor. You're an icon in the community. You're a poet. You're a singer. What would you like to share with us today? What topic would you like to share?
I think I would I'd appreciate going back and then just covering very briefly the different adventures that I've had, because I am writing a book, and it's called The Extraordinary Life of an Ordinary Woman.
I love that title. Has that been done before? Did you Google it?
No, I don't have a computer, so.
Oh, but you know what Google is.
I do.
Okay. So that's fantastic. I love that title. Okay, so you want to go back. You want to give us a little personal background?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Okay. I was born in 1932 to a mother, actually, who was born and lived out here in Abercorn, Glenna Curley. And my father was of a totally different background. He was Scottish and Spanish of aristocracy. And he had been in the war, and he'd come home a very disillusioned person. So he went on a fishing trip to the Eastern Townships, knocked on the farmer's door, and the daughter answered the door. And that was my mother and my father. So I grew up an only child, but with a very Victorian kind of upbringing. And my father laid out for me, there were no questions asked, my life. And it was to be, to go to public school, to go to private school, to go to art school in French, and to go to teacher's college, and become a teacher of children, and to go to Europe to see what the other half of the world lived like. And so that's exactly what I did. And
wow.
you know,
were a good girl.
Oh, so
You
good.
listened
You've
to
no
Daddy?
idea.
So when did you get the bad girl out?
Well, behind the scenes, I learned to lie. So I would say, you know, like, well, I'm going up to the store and I'll drop in on a girlfriend for a little while, but I'd be off meeting some guy and being a bad girl.
I love it.
But what I have appreciated enormously is just with the passage of time, the different kind of turns and twists that my life took. And being, I think it's a contributing factor, being an Aries and spontaneous, I would just go with these things that happened. And so when I was in art school, I met a magnificently handsome, beautiful guy called Peter, and we married. And I would think I was about, I can't remember, about 24 or something. And then I had 3 children within 3 years. Wow. 1, 2, and 3 years old. Busy. And I was teaching nursery school. And it was a delightful, wonderful life full of camping and trips, etc. But then Peter and I started to go different directions after about 15 years or so. And I became divorced. And then I enjoyed my teenage years, except I was about 48. So, or I don't know how.
Good, I still have time.
Yes. Absolutely.
Speaking of time, I just have to let our audience know that they're listening to CIDI 99.1 FM. You're listening to the Alternatives Radio Show. Your host, Ilya Kavukis, and I have this wonderful guest, Joan Mathews from Sutton. And Joan is sharing with us her fabulous background and experience. So now we're in our 40s experiencing our teens.
That's right. That's exactly it. And I had really extraordinary partners, if you'll say, lovers, and they were always younger. And the fascinating thing, I don't know if these things are true, but I allow them to be possibilities, was that in a very much past lifetime in Mesopotamia, I had been a high priestess who had initiated young men into sexuality just before they got married, and that these young men had come back to